Hey folks, welcome back. I'm Tim, and this is my demolition derby car, the Capt Crunch Caprice, the 86 Chevy Caprice that I ran a couple times this year, Oceana County Fair here in Michigan, and also the Cadillac Michigan Derby at the end of the year, the Color Tour Slam. What ended up taking it out of the Derby was that the starter went bad on it, so this is going to be a little video today about changing that out. So I'll regroup here, get things set up, and tell you a little bit more about how that's going to go. Alright, so I got the hood off, got everything uncovered now, so we'll dive into making this little repair here. So here's our starter here. We just got regular small block Chevy 350 in this one. So here's where the starter is, over on the right side of the engine. This would be the passenger side of the car. And heck of a lot easier to get at with a car with upright headers here. Don't even have to bother taking those off at all. My other car has headers that go down underneath, so I actually have to take those completely off if I want to change the starter on that one. But all that I'll have to do up here to get started, I'll probably take some spark plug wires out of the way to make some extra space. And then there are two wires here on the front of the starter. You'd have your main positive cable coming off the battery, and that's already unhooked, so don't worry about that. And then you have the wire that comes off the ignition switch. That's going to that inside post as well. I'll take those off first and then get her jacked up, and then I'll have you guys riding along for actually removing it from the bottom once I get that far. So I got our two wires off and out of the way from the two posts on the top of the starter, so all the electrical connections are gone at this point. And we'll go ahead and move on to the bottom, and there are two bolts on the bottom. This is the staggered pattern on this one, so one that's right here on the corner. You can see right on the corner of the block, this would be the top of where that screw goes in, and then another one that's kind of forward on the other side, and we'll go ahead and take that out next, and we'll get this old one dropped on out of here. Well, it looks like we found the problem. As you can see, here's the one that's going to go on. It's not brand new, but it's one that was a core off one of the engines that I rebuilt. So I'll give that a try. We'll find out if this one works. It's the same small block Chevy starter, same pattern and everything on the front, but take the look at the side-by-side comparison to these two. There's a little something missing on this one. Looks like it actually busted some of the aluminum cone off the case on this one, and here's what actually engages the flex plate on the back of the engine to actually spin your starter over, and well, she's not there anymore on this one. So whoever had in the comments before that you need to shim your starter, you may have been right on this one. It must have been just a little bit too close and eventually destroyed that little gear on the end of it here. And I guess that's what failed on this one, so we'll go ahead and swap out, add a few new shims on here to see what we can do to get it spaced out properly, putting the new one in. Alright viewers, so we got our new starter at the ready. I haven't really cleaned it up. Maybe I'll just clean up the blocks here a little bit, but we'll go ahead and get the new starter reinstalled, and I'll have you guys riding along live with me. How about you hold the flashlight, and we'll go ahead and get this new one installed. Okay, here we go. Squeeze on under here. Get cozy. This is kind of a tight squeeze getting under cars, just in general. Ow! Getting showered in dirt and rust falling off this thing. Okay, so we'll get her under there, get things lined up to start here. I'm reaching over the frame rail to try and put the shims in. So this did have one shim on it before, and clearly that wasn't enough. So with this brand new pack, I'm just going with all three to make sure that we get the proper clearance on this thing. Okay. So let me cram myself under here and get at least one of these bolts started. Oh man, dirt falling in my ear. That's lovely. Oh, sorry. I'm blocking you, trying to hold the light over here. That's not the other bolt. That is. Okay. This is the hardest part of changing the starter, don't you know? Trying to hold this thing up, laying on your back down on the ground, and there we go. I think we at least got her started anyway. We'll see, maybe that comes crashing down and I end up real disappointed. Alright, here we go. I'll get the bolt started here. There we go, it feels like it's getting a good bite on there. So the torque specs on these, if you're changing this in the pits, is as tight as you can possibly crank it down with a 3/8 socket. That's a scientific fact there, folks. But you could always consult the manual if you want to do it the right way, but I mean, how much fun is that? We all want to come back and change this twice, right? I do have a brand spanking new starter on the shelf. That'd probably be the smart way to go and just know it's going to work, but why not grab the questionable one off the second shelf, and I guess we'll learn something new. We'll find out if this one works. I guess at least if the shims aren't right, it's not destroying a brand new starter, which is covered under that AutoZone warranty, so I guess, you know, if we destroy it on the first pass, oh well, we'll go exchange it and give them the shrug like we don't know what happened. Alright, we got our torque to spec. Torque to spec. Alright, well, let's go back up top and we'll put the wires back on. So we got the bolts back on, and got our new replacement starter secured. You can see got our shim pack right in here that goes between the block and that starter housing itself. So you can see with the staggered pattern, you can see the front of it here. I guess this would be the back. In the front, you probably got a better view than I do here. Behind the solenoid, you can see the other half of it in there somewhere. But where that forward bolt is, and next, I'm going to put a little bit of dielectric grease on these contacts, the one for the battery cable, and then also the one for the ignition wire down here, just that way they don't really corrode out like these first ones did. And I'll hit these with a wire brush too and get those nice and cleaned up before we put them back on. Okay, so I went ahead and lathered on some dielectric grease onto the contacts there on the starter, nice and thick like my shaving cream. So just taking a little brass wire brush here to the wires themselves to clean up any junk that were on them yet. Let me not knock you out of the way. Got that guy, and clean up starter wire as well. There we go, that's not too bad. So there's already grease on those contacts, so we'll call those good. And go ahead and put that starter wire on first. Or the one coming off the ignition switch, rather. They're both starter wires since they go to the starter, of course. If I was a betting man, the socket on this one's probably a different size from the other, but let's see. Got my 9mm here that got it off. And hey, that might just work. Or cross-thread it, we'll find out. Nature's Loctite, you know. There we go, nice and snug. Try not to over-tighten these. These little bolts here on the starter are made of brass, so you'll definitely strip those out before getting it over tight. So just as long as you can't wiggle the wires on there, you're in pretty good shape. And try to route these as smartly as you can when you're looking in your engine bay here. This is kind of your time when you're working on your derby car. Like say, let's swap that around. I want to run these under the spark plug wires rather than over. So this is one example. Go ahead and do that. This is kind of your time to inspect all these little areas of the car that are kind of seldom seen as you're working on them. Let's see, is this a 14 mil or not? Yep, that'll work enough. We'll go ahead and get that guy tightened down there. I guess the socket would be a little bit more efficient for this, but here we go. And if I haven't mentioned it already, go ahead and subscribe to the Wall Racing channel if you want to catch more of these how-to videos. This will be primarily what I'm doing in the off-season between races, and I do need to add in the bump and run race from the Traverse City Northwest Michigan Fair this summer. I ran that one and immediately was so busy putting together this car, the demo derby car after, that I didn't even get a chance to upload those races. So I'll film an intro for you, and we'll get those loaded up here within the next week or two as well. Give you some more onboard camera racing action. Alright, there we go. We got that one tightened down. So let me just take this back off to move that wire underneath. Alright, so we got this guy back on. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a day for now, since I'm running out of daylight, but the next one we get, we'll go ahead and give her a test run. Oh, I could almost sense the disappointment in your voice when you thought you'd have to wait for another video to see a test run of this thing. Well, I'm also a little bit impatient too, so here we are. Put the battery in her, and got her in park, which is good since I still got this thing up on jack stands, and I guess let's see if this starter works. We'll give her a rip. Much smoother. Alright, let's give her a couple pumps, see if she'll fire up. A little more gas. Well, hey, thanks for joining me today and holding the flashlight while I was working under the car there. That's very helpful, and I hope you enjoyed riding along for this one. If you made it this far into the video, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. It should be somewhere down this side from your direction. And go ahead and subscribe if you do want to tune in for some more future derby videos or any other content that we're doing out in the garage. I think the next one will be actually winterizing the two cars, since it's getting pretty late in the year up here in my neck of the woods. I'll have to go pick up some antifreeze, and then we'll walk you through the process of that. Go ahead and winterize in your cars, so that way you don't have a cracked block come springtime and can get out and have some derby fun on the sooner side. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your weekend coming up.